What's up, guys? I'm back with a new what if. Alright. So, this what is gonna be what if Deku was Endeavor's son. And, just to let you guys know, Midoriya's gonna have full on red hair. And he's gonna have this hero costume. Because, I personally like it. And, if you guys don't like this one, I could give you guys a couple of other options. Like, I could give you this one. Like, let this be his hero costume. Or that one as well. There's also that one. So it all determines on what you guys want is what you're gonna get. So yeah. Alright, so let's begin. So basically how I'm gonna start this is Inko, she obviously um Midoriya's mother's gonna be Inko because if he's not in the Todoroki family, he's gonna have to be in with Inko. Alright, so Inko at this point, she's a lot younger than what she did when she got pregnant in the anime. So Inko's gonna be 19. And I feel like this is the best route for me to make to to go where the story I wanted to go, in the direction I wanted to go in. So yeah. So Inko, she's 19 and she just turned 19. She's living with her parents. And Endeavor, he's at this time, I'm gonna say he's around like late late 20s. We're talking like 29, almost 30. And yeah. So yeah, that's why I feel like how old Endeavor was when he knocked up Ray with Shoto. So yeah. And yeah, so Inko is basically at a party at a club because she's just celebrating her birthday with some of her friends because when she just turned 19, there you go. I think I said 19 or 20. Whatever, I'm going with 20. Or 19, sorry. I'm going with 19. So she's at the club with her friends and she sees Endeavor. Endeavor at this point, he is not wearing his hero costume or he does he have his flames on? Endeavor is just right there drinking his problems away cuz he realizes that he doesn't have the perfect child with both quirks that he wants them to have. So what he does is he just drinks his problems away. And yeah, so he sees Inko and he sees how fine she is. He sees her, he just if you've seen young Inko in the anime, bro, you gotta know she's a MILF. Like boom, she popped out a baby and still looks fine. So yeah. Um yeah. So he walks up towards Inko. He says, "Care to dance?" Cause Endeavor's a player. He starts off smooth. He starts off like a polite dude, and then he slowly starts to, you know, do his thing. So they dance at first, have a couple of drinks, and then they end up in a hotel that Endeavor, got for one night. And in the morning, Endeavor leaves, and he doesn't really leave anything for Inko to like. Oh, I want to go. I left, and he doesn't really tell her how long she has until she has to leave. But Inko understands that maybe she should leave as quick as possible so she could avoid any trouble. So Inko went home, and remember when I said Inko lives with her parents? So yeah, what Inko's quirk is different, like different, a lot different. Instead, like it's not telekinesis. It's a quirk that allows her to produce a certain like gasoline on her skin. So it's like it's like Mitsuki's quirk, except it's different because she sweats nitroglycerin, but like Inko sweats a gas. I mean not gas, gasoline. So it's like a it's a clear. It's like it's kind of like nitroglycerin, except it's just made of a different chemical and all that. And yeah, so What ends up happening is a few weeks, like 2 weeks later, she starts feeling sick. She takes a pregnancy test and she finds out she's pregnant. So when she finds out she's pregnant, she tries to hide it for a couple of weeks, but she slowly starts to gain weight and like start getting the symptoms of being pregnant. The side effects. Big belly, like your feet grow. As far as I know, I think that's one of the side effects. Your feet grow, and yeah. Her mom ends up confronting her, and Inko tells her parents. Her parents end up kicking her out, sadly. So Inko, she realizes that she doesn't need anybody to support her. So what she does is she gets a job and she starts working as hard as she can. So she takes graveyard shifts and all that, and she's a waitress, so no heavy lifting. So she doesn't want to kill the baby because that's not the type of person she is. So what she ends up doing is she's putting in the work. So she gets as much money as she can to save. Try to save as much money as she can. That way, when she gets to the point where she can't work, she has enough money to support her and her baby. So yeah, so Inko, she's doing well, and then it comes to the point where she has to stop working, and she stays at an apartment where they do like she's staying at the apartment where her and Midori stay in the anime. Cause remember, she just started working, so she's not gonna have that much money saved up, so she's gonna be staying in that small little apartment. So yeah, sorry, I'm running out of breath, cause I'm just running out of breath. Sorry if I'm speaking low. Yeah. And then what ends up happening next is Inko stays home. She's cooking her meal. Her water breaks, and then if you don't know what that means, when her water breaks, that means she's about to give birth. Ah ha ha. So she walks down like 2 floors of stairs, and then as soon as she gets to the ground, she goes to her car and she can't. So some random dude is not gonna be important. Is gonna drive her to the hospital. He drives her to the hospital. That's it. She gives birth, and Midoriya has red hair. Not red hair actually. You don't see his hair because he's a newborn baby. Babies when they're born they don't have hair. But since actually yeah, since when babies are born, their eyes need to adjust to the light. So his eyes are closed, so you can't see them. So basically you know, Midoriya, like a couple hours later, Inko takes him home because she's certified to go home now. So she fell asleep for like 10 hours because she gave up a lot of energy, just trying to push him out. And yeah. So some time goes by, like 2 weeks later, and you see Midoriya as still an infant crawling. And Midoriya, he has a little bit of red hair. He has blue eyes, and he basically has the Todoroki facial structure and the like, just everything that Endeavor has. And yeah. So a few years pass by. Midoriya is 4 years old. Midoriya is 4 years old, and he is at the school where he goes to. Bakugo just got his quirk. He's bragging. At this point, he's kind of a, how do I say, he's pretty. I don't want to talk about a little boy, a little kid like that, because I don't like talking about little kids in that type of a manner. He's kind of he's rude. All right. Once Bakugo gets in his mid-teens, that's when I start talking crap. So yeah, Bakugo's rude. He's kind of a douche. When just whatever I'm gonna say it. He's a douche. And at this point, he hasn't gotten to the point where he's like, oh, I'm better than you. He's just like he wants everybody's attention. And after that, after he gets everybody's attention, slowly his ego starts to develop in, oh, I'm better than you and you can never be a hero, like talking people down. But right now he's just at the phase where he's like, I'm gonna be a hero. I'm stronger than you. You could be a hero, but not to the point where you can't be a hero because you're weaker than me. You know, like that. So Midoriya, he's in the bungalow bars, where you could swing, hang like a monkey from a tree and all that. But instead of the trees, you got bars. Yeah. So Midoriya's like around there, and he has red eyes, right? So he could stand. He stands out because his, not red eyes. Sorry, he's got blue eyes and red hair. And red hair is pretty rare. If someone has red hair, it's pretty rare. The chances of you getting red hair is almost zero. But whatever. So, since he has bright red hair, you could, like, it's pretty hard to miss him. So, Bakugo walks up on him. He's saying, hey, Dick, you don't have your quirk yet. And, Midori, like, I'm not sure how you get your quirk, honestly. Like, is it on your birthday? Or is it, like after you turn 4? You know what I mean? Like, you could get it on your birthday, or you could get it sometime after your birthday. You know? And, hold on, I'll be back. Sorry, I'm back. So Midori is in the bungalow bars, so he's kind of messing around the grass. Like where he's at is like he's next to the bungalow bars, sorta, and where the bungalow bars are surrounded by sand. So the bungalow bars are in the sand, cause like if a kid were to fall off the bars, he would land in sand. It would hurt, but they're not that high to get really hurt from to fall, and yeah. So, hey yo, you. Sorry for that interruption. Uh, People are rude around here. So, yeah. Midori is just messing around in the dirt area, just kind of minding his own business. Bakugo walks up, how he is, and then he starts showing off his quirk, trying to get Midori's attention. Midori at this point, like, Midori is kind of like the emo little kid type. He's like doesn't really care about nothing. He's just doing what emo kids do, basically. And he's kind of like depressed, but he's not in the same time. He looks depressed, but he's just not. So, Bakugo hits Midoriya in the chest for not paying attention, and that's when his ego goes to the next level. That's when he's like starting to get angrier at people if they don't pay attention to him. He gets angry and then starts trying to get their attention even more. So Midori wasn't paying attention to Bakugo, so Bakugo exploded his chest. It's nice, right? Yeah. But Midori's quirk kicked in at the wrong time. So the explosion collided with Midori's chest sweat, and it kind of blew up even more, which gave Midoriya a burn mark in the stomach. And it's a pretty large, it's a pretty large burn. So Midori stands up, and out of pain, he kind of yells out, and like blue flames engulf his, not blue flames, not yet. So kind of reddish flames, red like Endeavor type flames, kind of appear on Midori's arms. And then once Midori gets a little angrier, cause if you don't know how if you don't know how Toya's quirk works, or Dabi, sorry, yeah, there's gonna be some manga spoilers. If you don't know how Dabi's quirk works, or Toya, his quirk is linked to his emotions. So like depends on what emotion he's at, what stage of emotion is he at, determines how strong his fire is gonna be. So Midori's Midori's angry, so his flames are pretty strong. But his quirk hasn't gotten strong enough to the point where it'll reach blue flames. It's kind of like his flames are really strong, even at where it's at right now. It's kind of like where Endeavor's flames are at right now, the temperature. But like once he gets a little bit older, his flames will evolve to blue. Just a little note, because you guys can already tell by the color of his flames right here. His flames. And I like blue, so, yeah. Son of a gun. And, Midori, out of sheer, instinct, Midori runs at Bakugo, punches Bakugo in the stomach, burns off some of his clothes, and gives him a burn mark on the chest. But their burn marks aren't enough to, kind of leave it forever. It's kind of going to be, you're going to see it, but not that much, you know what I mean? But Midoriya's burn is going to be there on Bakugo forever. Because, yeah, Midoriya's just built different. And Bakugo gets taken to the nurse. Midori gets taken to the nurse. And then Midori gets taken to the quirk doctor a few hours later. Inko takes him, and then, basically the quirk doctor examines Midoriya by, just telling him what emotion, because some quirks, rely on emotion to, kind of activate. So, basically the doctors start there, hey, yo, what were you feeling, an emotion? What emotion were you feeling at the time when activated? And then, Midori said, anger. And then, they tell him, try to get angry. Midori gets angry, but it doesn't work. All Midori's emotions did at the time were just kind of boosted up just kind of speed up the process of the quirk showing up. Midori doesn't need emotions, son of a gun, dude, really? Emotions to activate it. The emotion was just to, kind of make his quirk show up. All Midori has to do is just control his flames by controlling his body heat. I'm not sure how Endeavor's quirk works, so I'm search it up. Whatever, I'm just gonna say that he could produce fire. That's it. That's all I'm gonna say. So Midori could produce fire from anywhere in his body, and yeah. So basically Midori just says, I just wanna raise my body heat, and he says it's feeling a little cold cause how in the hospitals and all that, the doctors' rooms, they're all it's cold and all that, and Midori's feeling a little cold, so he kind of shivers and covers himself, and he kind of ignites a blue flame, not blue flame, sorry. He kind of ignites a flame around his body and says that feels a little better. And the way Midori's quirk works is that he could produce flames and he could feel the fire, but he could feel the heat emanating off the fire, but it doesn't affect him. So, yeah. And Midoriya, doctor's kind of astounded because, there's basically no way for you to get a quirk from a different family unless they're related to them. And, he's basically the doctor. By the way, this back, sorry for that interruption. Basically, yeah, the doctor's taking notes on, Midori's quirk because he realizes that, it's so similar to Endeavor's quirk. And so, he's just taking notes on how Midori's quirk works, how he does it, and, he's trying to find similarities that make it the same as Endeavor's quirk, and so far, pretty much everything's the same. No, scratch that. Everything is the same. It's not almost the same. It is the same. So, he basically tells Inko that he needs to take a DNA test, and he says, and I quote, it is to make sure that it, fucking hell, man. Whatever. He says, and I quote, oh, it's just to check to see if it's a mutation quirk as well. Inko's like, oh, okay, it might be, because, some mutations cause emitter quirks as well, but, it's kind of rare, but, it might happen. So, it's illegal to take a DNA test and not tell the correct information it's for to the patient's guardian or the patient. So the doctor did this illegally. So he ran Midori's blood test and He tried to find any possible, oh damn, any possible father, because he knew the mother was Inko, obviously, but he tried to find the father, and he was running it through hundreds and thousands of other DNA, like guys' DNA, and like the one person it landed on was Endeavor, NG Todoroki. So this is basically how Midoriya's backstory is gonna be, not like the story itself. You know what I mean? Yeah, I might go to the U.S. UA entrance exam, but maybe not that far ahead. So what ends up happening next is he calls Endeavor and tells him, "Hey yo, you might have a kid. It's a pretty strong likely, cause sometimes those paternity tests, not paternity tests, no, sometimes those DNA's, like, sometimes what the doctor just did right now, sometimes it's like not really the father of the kid or mother of the kid. Sometimes it's just a slip up, like, hey yo, you're not the father, but your DNA samples are pretty similar. Yeah, if you know what I mean, So yeah, there's that. So he calls him up, tells Endeavor like, "Hey yo, you might have a kid," and Endeavor's like, "Huh?" He's like, "That's impossible." And then he remembers that one night he slipped up. He was an unfaithful husband. He thinks so. He's like, "Huh?" And then he just tells the doctor, "Hey yo, give me the information." The doctor gives Endeavor the information. Endeavor ends the call. He ends the call. Sometimes I can't speak properly. Damn. I got new retainers. So yeah, he ends the call. He calls Inko because the doctor gave him the her number. So he calls her. He says, "Is it true that I might have a son?" Well, with his deep ass voice, his high testosterone type stuff, Yeah. And Inko says, "How did you get this number?" And then sorry, give me a second. And then the doctor, the Endeavor said that a doctor called me and let me know. And then at this point, Inko, she left the doctor's office, his office, but she wasn't outside the hospital. She was literally the same floor and literally a few steps away from the doctor's office, the doctor's personal office. And after Endeavor tells her like, "Hey yo, this doctor called me," she told him like, "Hey yo, what's his name?" And Endeavor told her, and then she went back to the dude. Says, "I'm gonna sue you for just I'm gonna sue you for giving away private information about her son to possibly a stranger." The doctor says, "But it could have, it might be his father." And then that's when Inko interrupts him by saying, "Exactly, it might be his father. It might not be." Shit. She wasn't whoring around at the time. She was not. But, she knows for a fact it's him. But, she doesn't want to admit it. And because, she doesn't want to bring a strange dude. She doesn't know how he is. So, what, Endeavor knows now. So it's too late. Inko sues the dude and the hospital for allowing this to happen. Because he needed confidential, he got authorization for doing it, but what the dude did was pretty much a kind of an ass thing to do, cause he lied to the hospital by saying yes he got confirmation, which he didn't, and it wasn't the hospital's fault. It was just his fault all the way, 100%. So the hospital lost a lot of money. He lost a lot of money personally. And yeah, now Inko's pretty much set, but she's gonna use it wisely. So a few weeks later, Midoriya's at his house. Midoriya's still 4, and Midoriya's kind of still. Midoriya is. Oh, I forgot to tell you, but Midoriya is short for his age. Like Midoriya is very short for his age. He is like Toya. If you don't know who Toya is the eldest son of Endeavor and the eldest child, actually, just the eldest child. Toya was very short. I'm not sure if it's because of lack of nutrients or just because he delayed of growth hormones towards his body through the years. But A might be one of them because of how many times he's trained with Endeavors. So, eh. So no childhood, but just training. And yeah. So Midori is short, and he's like about 4'6", and actually, that's pretty tall. Yeah, that's pretty tall. I don't know, whatever the average height of a 4-year-old is, a little bit shorter. And what Midori does is he's in his room and he's like kind of igniting a flame in his hand. And right now, Midori sees a change in his flame. He sees like whenever he activates it, like constantly, like a little bit, he's like in his room sitting down on his bed, crisscross applesauce. And he's holding his right arm out, and he's like igniting a flame on his hand and then cutting it off, just like turning it on and off. And then like the last time he does it, there was like a little bit of a blue flame in there. And then Midori sees it, he's like, what? And then he cuts it off by accident. And then, he attempts to do it again, but he gets a knock on the door. And then he opens the door. Ooh, flashback. You probably didn't like that, huh? You probably didn't like that. Yeah, you probably didn't like that. So yeah, flashback. We're gonna go to the front of Midori's house, and someone had just rang the doorbell. And if you're paying attention to the story, you could probably tell who it is. And yes, so Inko, she's in the front of the apartment. Sorry, I said house. It's apartment. And they're in the second floor, I think I said. Second or third floor. So yeah. Inko goes to the front of the door. Or not the front, she opens the door. Endeavor's there. And he says, greetings. And then, she doesn't know who it is yet, because, it's Endeavor. She's like, wow, Endeavor, why are you here? And then, Endeavor says, well, you might be holding my child. And then, she's like, what? And then, that's when she realizes that he doesn't mean like you're holding his child in your stomach. No, he means you have custody and all that of Midoriya. And by the way, Midoriya's name is Midoriya. Like his first name is Izuku, and then Midoriya, cause that's Inko's last name. And then he tries to go in get inside the apartment room, but Inko stops him by saying like, hey, like, what are you doing? And then he's like, I need to see him. And then she's like, well, no, you don't. Like, and then Endeavor's like, I need to see him. And then she's like, no, you don't. And then Endeavor is like impatient. Like how Endeavor is in the anime. He's impatient. He's stubborn. He's a fool. Obviously, he's aggressive, and he kind of he doesn't push Inko. He just like walks around her. And she tries to pull on his shirt, and like he's wearing his hero costume, and like he just has a beard on. He doesn't have the full flames around his body type stuff. So she grabs onto his shirt. She tries to stop him by like putting both legs down and just like but she's getting pulled with him. And Midoriya just gets a knock on the door. So yeah, Midoriya gets a knock on the door, and then he opens the door. He sees Endeavor. And then Endeavor sees him. And Midoriya, let me show you what Midoriya looks like. Alright, so, this is basically Midoriya. He's wearing the same outfit. Just imagine some, orange flames with a little bit of blue on them. He's in this exact position, except just imagine this hand is not covered in flames because he had just opened the door. So, Midoriya has red hair and blue eyes. And Endeavor's looking down at Midoriya with and and he sees the blue flames, and he sees that there's a lot of potential in Midoriya. And Midoriya's quirk has gotten stronger because the longer you have your quirk as you grow up, the stronger it gets naturally. And yeah, that's pretty much why Midoriya's quirk is so strong. He doesn't train yet, and so he's like Endeavor, and he kind of likes Endeavor because Endeavor has the same quirk as Midoriya, so he grew to like Endeavor. And then Endeavor says, "Uh-huh." He's like, "Hello, boy," with like a deep voice, and Midoriya gets a little scared because his voice is really deep. And then what Midoriya does is he says, can I have your autograph?" Endeavor says, "Sure." He signs a paper. That's the end of that. And then he basically says, "May I speak to you?" And then with your mother, of course. And then they speak in the living room. Endeavor's like, um you he tells Inko, like, he looks at Inko and he says, "Have you told him?" And then Inko's like, "No." And then I'll be back. Alright, what's up, guys? I'm back. Sorry, I had to change the picture to this one because yeah. Alright, and by the way, the ship will be announced later on, but for now it's a mystery. I just want to keep something a secret. So he tells Midoriya, can you go to your room, please, while I talk to your mother? And Midoriya is really excited because it's Endeavor, the number 2 hero, but his personal favorite. He goes to his room. He doesn't eavesdrop because he listens to Endeavor. And Endeavor tells Inko, like, does he know? And Inko says, she like shakes her head no. Endeavor's like, oh. And then he's like, would you want him to know? And Inko says no. Like, not in an aggressive way, not like no, but like more of like no. And Endeavor understands because it'll be a shock for Midoriya to find out now in his life, since a child's life is most vulnerable when he or she is in its child years. Teenage years is more on the fragile side too, but they do it when they're like older in their teens. You know what I mean? So yeah. So Midoriya's not gonna find out, not for now. And then Endeavor's like, okay. And then he tells Inko, like, hey, yo, like, he doesn't tell her, hey, yo, he says, Inko, was it? Inko says yes. And then he tells her, like, would you like me to train him? And Inko, in her mind, she's like, considering it. Not because she wants to get closer to Endeavor. No. She wants to, like, she wants to let Endeavor train Midoriya. And the reason why she wants to let Midoriya train, the reason why she wants Endeavor to train Midoriya is because she knows that she can't train Midoriya because she doesn't have the experience with that particular type of quirk. So she tells him, okay. Endeavor nods and says, okay, like, okay. And then he tells Inko, can you bring him? And then, she basically yells out for Midoriya. Midoriya comes out of his room, running back to Endeavor and his mom. And then Endeavor tells Midoriya, like, hey, you're going to be training with me. And then Midoriya just gets really happy. He starts going fanboy. He starts running really fast. It's like that type of fast, like, it's that type of running where, like a fanboy, like how Midoriya is in the anime. Yeah, it's basically like that. And so Endeavor tells Midoriya, like, we're going to start training tomorrow, so make sure you get ready. And, yeah. So what ends up happening next is, Midoriya, he starts to kind of work out, like, not too big of things, not lifting weights, no. He starts off slow. He starts off with a couple of push-ups, like 10 push-ups, like 10 he starts like he starts running and all that. It's just trying to like build up some stamina. He starts running for like 10 minutes, and he also starts doing sit-ups, push-ups, cobras. Trying to stretch his body, like get his muscles loose. That way they won't be stiff as he's doing workouts with Endeavor. Because Endeavor did say we're gonna train your quirk and we're gonna train your physical body. So Midori kind of knew that what he meant. So he kind of started training his like loosening up his muscles. So Endeavor comes over and he starts teaching Midori like, "Hey, your quirk is pretty similar to mine." And like Midori speaks up. He's like, "Is that why you're training me?" Endeavor's like, he kind of doesn't say nothing for a second, but he says yes. And Midoriya at this point he is kind of stubborn. Like if you tell him to do something, he'll be like, "Nah, I'm too busy like training." But that's not yet because he kind of hasn't found that yet. Because he hasn't found anything to say, "Nah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm too busy doing something else." You know what I mean? So he hasn't built up the stubbornness yet. He's a fool. Midoriya. He takes after his father, obviously. And they start training. So a couple months go by, and Midoriya does non-stop training. So he's 4 years old, and he has like uh, a 4-pack. He hasn't gone to the point of a 6-pack. Nope, not yet. And so Endeavor and Midoriya, they do non-stop training, and Endeavor kind of likes the way Midoriya does. Like he doesn't stop training no matter what. And yeah. And if you read the manga, you understand this part. Endeavor, as Midoriya and Endeavor were training, Endeavor kept on a track on Midoriya's hair color and to see if anything's changed with his durability to his flames. And he trains Midoriya, but if he were to see some different hair color and all that in Midoriya's hair, and if you were to see that Midoriya would actually get hurt by his own flames, that's when you call it quits. No more training. Because he doesn't want the same thing to happen to him that happened to his oldest child. But he doesn't tell Midoriya this. And so a couple more months pass by, and Endeavor has been training with Midoriya even more because Midoriya asks for more training, but Endeavor tells him we're going to be training more, but you're going to have to be taking a lot more breaks. Like you're going to have to stop training for a little while, and then you go back training. And Todoroki's family, the Todoroki family, they notice Endeavor going out a lot, and especially Fuyumi, because she realized like she's gotten Endeavor's hero schedule. She's memorized it, and she sees that he's leaving even more and more and longer periods of time when he's on break, and she's like, like, is he taking extra shifts or something like that? And Natsuo, he's kind of glad, and yeah, it's Natsuo, so he's glad that his father's out of his life for now. And Midoriya, oh no, sorry. Midoriya has gone to the point where he's kind of aggressive, and he's more of a fool, stubborn, and he's more like Toya. And a couple more months pass by. Endeavor says he's got to stop training Midoriya for a little while, and Midoriya understands. And Endeavor tells Midoriya like, "Hey, yo, keep on training with what I taught you, and you'll get better, and we'll see your progress when I come back." So Midoriya and him stop training for a while. And when I talk a while, I'm talking like maybe, wow, I'm talking like 6 years while. Yep. Midori didn't really care, to be honest, because he he lost he stopped paying attention to how long Endeavor was gone after a few months, because he realized either Endeavor did like lost like he didn't care anymore, or like he just realized that he forgot about Midoriya. But Midoriya didn't really care because he was training, he was training, and Midoriya was training, and 5 years happened, and Midoriya looks more of a stud than ever. He's 11 years old. Wait, right? No, he's 9 years old. Not 11, bruh. Yeah, 5 years passed by, and Midoriya's gotten a lot stronger. His flames are 80 or 90% blue and 10%, orange. And Midoriya has gotten a lot stubborn. Inko tells him you need to stop training and actually start, doing schoolwork and all that. Midoriya doesn't care about schoolwork. He wants to be a hero, like Endeavor, and yeah. And Midoriya, he doesn't care, and he actually talks back to his mom. And Inko's gotten to the point where she'll slap him silly, bro. You know what it takes for a white monkey. You know what it takes to get slapped. It takes a lot. Trust. Yeah, trust. I know. And Midoriya, he is time skip. Now Midoriya is 13. And once he reached 13, and remember, I didn't say Midoriya got any taller. He got a little taller over the years. But once Midoriya actually went through, like, once Midoriya is, I'm just going to say, no, not 13. I'm going to say 12. Midoriya was 12, and he is maybe in the beginning of 6th grade. 6th grade, and then Midoriya started growing a lot taller. And, he started growing a lot taller because, he hit puberty, obviously. So, he grew a lot taller in 1 year. So he went from a 12-year-old from being 5'1" to being like 5'8", 5'9". Yeah, that sounds good. That sounds good. And Midoriya's growth is not going to be the same as it was the first growth spurt, because that's how I think it kind of goes. Unless you got good genes, like Shaquille O'Neal's kid, Shamik. Yeah, his kids are tall as shit. Yeah, whatever. So, yeah. Midori is 5'8" now. He is 13 now. He's 5'8". He's pretty tall. He's taller than most of the kids in his school, like in his grade. And then Midori's gone to a lot of fights now. Like, once he went into middle school, he's starting to get into a lot of fights because, people have been training their quirks, such as Bakugo and a few other people who shall not be named. And, basically, Midoriya, he's not one to back down from a fight. So, he got into a fight with this one dude who could stretch his limbs. So, this dude stretched his limbs because he challenged Midoriya, because Midoriya seemed like the top dog, like the mad dog of the yard and all that. He seemed like the toughest dude. Plus the way he he's pretty built too. Hold on, give me a second. Yeah, sorry. There's a lot of stuff going on around here. So yeah. Midoriya's not one to back down from a fight, and there's this one dude who, in particular, wanted to fight Midoriya because Midoriya seemed like the tough dog. You know what I mean, like the top dog around the yard. And this dude was kind of he was a freshman, and Midoriya was not freshman. Sorry, I'm thinking high school stuff. Nah, Midoriya was in his second year of middle school, and this dude was in his first year. So, he tried to make a good impression, and try to not a good impression. He tried to be like a Bakugo. So, he tried to pull off a Bakugo and try to be someone older than him, and stronger than him, or look stronger than him, and he'll be the top, the strongest. But, Midoriya's built different, and he's a lot stronger than, someone like how Bakugo fought. And, let's just say that this dude did not, even survive 1 minute, right? Yeah. So basically, what ended up happening is the fight started like this. This dude challenged Midoriya. Midoriya accepted because he's not one to back down from a fight. And this dude literally, he started off the fight with him extending his arms. Because this dude has he has the same power as the Fantastic Four dude who stretches his body. Yeah. So he basically did, like, he stretched his arms around Midoriya's body. So he wrapped his arms around Midoriya's chest, his arms, his legs, and everything else. But Midoriya, what this dude didn't know is Midoriya's quirk. But Midoriya, he ignited a flame around his body, burning this dude's arms, giving him first and second degree burns depending on where you were. Because there are some areas where it's harder than the rest. Like Midoriya's arms, they are like the hottest area. You know, like that's the hottest place to get burned from. His chest is like probably the weakest flame. And Midoriya's fight moves are pretty much like Endeavor's, because you know Endeavor's is idle. And this dude literally, he uh unstretched his arms, so like he pulled his arms back, and they're all burnt and all that. And then Midoriya used a flash fast jet fist. I forgot what it's called. Well, he just basically threw a fireball at the dude, and Midoriya like cocked back his fist. He lighted a blue flame on it. He threw his fist out. The flame went towards the dude. The dude barely dodged it, but a little bit of flame got on his arm because of the explosion. Because you know it contacted with the grass, causing the grass to shoot whatever flame it had left. And yeah, the dude got pretty burnt, and Midoriya got sent to Dean's, got suspended. Didn't really impact his grades because he was doing pretty good. And UA is still gonna accept him because yeah. And Midoriya, we're gonna skip to Midoriya. He's at his house, and Inko was a little mad at him for getting suspended. And Midoriya is training in next to the apartment building. And you know when he's training, he puts on this particular shirt because this shirt is made it's made out of a special fabric. It's made out of a special fabric that is fireproof. And Inko, she buys it from a special website that sells special clothing for people with unique quirks. Like for example, there's a dude with like Mount Lady, or you know she could grow like 100 times her height, and she has the clothes and she buys them from that website because they stretch. And they're all unique in their own way. Like this one is fireproof. So Midoriya's quirks are all his clothing is, you know, bought from that website. So they're all special for fireproof. Yeah, so Midoriya's training, he's sweating, and you know, he's got some blue, he looks like this, but he's got blue flames instead of orange. And Midoriya's tired, he's out of breath. And then Midoriya just takes a break. That's it. End of the day, and then sorry, give me a second. All right, so time skip 2 years because I said Midoriya is 13, I think. Yeah, so I'm just saying Midoriya is 13. It's got, time skip 1 year later, so Midoriya's at the end of his middle school. It's the last day of middle school, and Midoriya is in his class. And Midoriya is officially known as one of the strongest, if not the strongest, because he hasn't fought Bakugo, because Bakugo and him are in different classes and different schedules. So, cause the school they try to separate the dangerous kids, you know, with kids who get into fights very often. So they put them all in different like lunch hours and all that. You know, they put their recesses at different times. So you know each of their, you know, schedules are unique to the point where they are all separated. So Bakugo and him and some other students are pretty much known as the top dogs. But it's not official because they never fought. And Midori and Bakugo do see each other, but like only through like a single glance, and they're all like Midori and him are like pretty far from each other. So to them, it's not really much of an effort to just try to go to that other person. Waste of time. End of school, and Midoriya gets challenged again by a person with a water quirk. And this dude, his quirk is pretty strong, I'm not gonna lie. His quirk allows him to get a single tear, like a water drop, and allows him to, like, he's basically like King. He could control a water drop and use it as a weapon. And if you don't know who King is from Seven Deadly Sins, King, I don't know how to explain that. Like, if you don't know who King is after me saying Seven Deadly Sins, then whatever. So this dude could use any type of water source as a weapon. And this dude isn't gonna get into UA because I don't want anybody to get out in particular in Class 1A. So what ends up happening is the dude starts a fight. He challenges Midoriya, and he's known as the cocky type. He's like Monoma, but like he never gets into fights because he thinks he's too good. But he doesn't go to the extent like, Ayo, I'm richer than you, not like that. Like, I'm stronger than you. I could beat you at any day, any time. But like, this dude is, has more courage. He's like, I could beat you right now. Yeah, at least he just, at least he challenged, Midori. He didn't just use words. So, Midori and him fight. This dude basically uses a water drop to attack Midoriya. So he uses the water drop to like literally skin Midoriya in the shoulder. And then Midoriya basically, this dude starts like using his finger to point everywhere he wants the water drop to go. So Midoriya's getting scratches everywhere. When I mean everywhere, I mean like his neck, his cheek, his forehead. Like literally, like little bits of his hair are starting to come off because of the dude's literally cutting through his hair. Like literally through his chest, his stomach, his back, his shoulder blades, and all that. And then Midoriya thinks of like he's imagine doing this. Imagine moving and thinking of a strategy, a perfect strategy, just to like kind of dodging like a very fast water drop and dodging and thinking of a plan. That's very difficult in my book. I can't do that. I can only think of what I want. You know what I mean? Like an image, and that's it. That's all I could do. My brain. That's all I could process. And I can only think of something when I'm walking or something. You know what I mean? Just walking. So Midori thinks of a good plan, and it's pretty obvious. He should have thought of that earlier, because Midori's like kind of smart, but like not in the same time. He's more of a bronze than brains type of dude. So he ignites blue flames all around his body. Literally, so when he ignites blue flames on his body, he literally makes the water evaporate. And then this dude's like, he's like kind of sweating bullets because that was all he had. And then he sees like a water fountain, so he takes advantage and he throws his hand out, and then like the water just literally goes directly towards him. And then he's doing a Magneto where he's lifting his hand up, and like the water is just like literally going around his palm, like in a ring. And then he throws literally like a blast. And then Midoriya throws his own blast, like, countering that one, making the water all evaporate. The dudes that are, he has nothing to do. He can't defend himself. Midoriya, what he does is he kind of punches the dude in the nose, breaking it, grabbing his arm, pushing it to the ground, breaking his arm. I'm not breaking it, dislocating his arm, grabbing him by his head, and kind of stepping on his foot, his left foot, and then using his right foot to step on his knee inside, breaking his knee in. And that's pretty, gore, right? It is. It's pretty gore. And Midori is more the aggressive type. He's pretty much everything I said. Midori was just angry at the fact that he literally got scratched because, yeah, he didn't like being disrespected. So, there's that, and, you guys get to decide this. Actually, no, you don't get to decide. Sorry. You guys get to guess who do you think the ship's gonna be. I'll give you some hints when the time comes. All right. So time skip. Uh, 2 days later, Midoriya got a bad report on his his school file, and it won't affect his UA chances. It'll just like give him a bad review on his personality and who he is as a person. And yeah, so there's that. And yeah, so 2 days later, Midori is training nonstop. Midori goes into deep in the woods, and he starts training in different ways. Like he uses flames from his fingers. He uses finger flames, and then he tries to extend the flames in strings, and then he starts like moving his fingers all through the woods, like cutting through every single tree, trying to cut them in perfect block like squares, but he can't. He's not that good into the move yet. And Midori uses another move, the move where Endeavor flies. But in this one, Midori kind of figures it out on his own. And Endeavor knows it himself. He figured it out a long time ago, but he kind of doesn't use it a lot because it never came to that. You know what I mean? And Midori he takes off his shoes because he doesn't want to burn them up. And then he uses his feet to kind of fly, like maneuver in the air. And yeah, he's kind of flying around. He doesn't get it right. He's kind of like flying, and then all of a sudden his feet like stop producing fire. He falls to the ground, like, and then fracture the bone. So yeah, he's just getting hurt nonstop. Inko has to take him to the doctor, get him fixed up. And yeah, that's basically all he does. And then there's one case where Midori uses the prominence burn, and he realizes that he can't handle it because the heat that he produces as he does it is too much. It does too much of his body. Like his body starts to kind of numb up because of how much fire he produces. The pain he feels numbs the certain areas in his body. And then there's one time where Midori attempts to use the prominence. There's one time where Midori. Sorry for that interruption. So yeah, There's one case where Midori attempts to do the prominence burn in the forest, and that's a pretty, dangerous area to do it in. And Midori does the prominence burn, but where he does it is kind of inside a crater. It's like a mountain, and then inside, as soon as you try to look over the mountain and you look down, it's very steep. There's no grass, there's just dirt, rock, and everything. That's it. And Midori does it in there, a prominence burn, and he does it to the point where he overheats, and so he's literally all damaged up. Like his skin is very hot. Like his skin is kind of yeah, it's just really, really, really hot. And since he has blue flames, it's even worse because of how much the heat he produces. So it's even worse on his body. And since he doesn't have as much durability as Endeavor, he kind of messed himself up on that one. So he realizes that that's like kind of a last stand, like a last move, and that's like the last move he should take, the last resort, yeah. And since he has less durability and he has higher flames, like much stronger flames than Endeavor does, it sucks for him. So that's that. He does fine after that. Like Inko tells him to go into a tub full of ice, really really cold ice, Because, yeah. You go to the tub, the ice melts immediately. Midori got a really, really, really backache right there. At the end of the day, he had a lot of sore muscles because of how much he pulled off in that very day. And, this the end of that day. 9 months later, yeah, the entrance exam. He goes in there, takes the test, the written exam. He scored 70 out of 100, so that's a B or C. And he looks next to him and he sees this girl. And this girl is, very strong. When I mean strong, I mean very strong. I'm talking like all might. I'm kidding. Not that strong. She's strong. And I'll give you a hint. Alright, I'll give you a hint. This girl is, in the anime, she is a hero. But in this one, she's going to be a student. And I want you guys to give me a guess on who you think it could be. There are a lot of female heroes in My Hero. And, I'm just curious if you guys think you got it. So, put down your answer in the comment section. And I'll correct you if you were right or wrong. But not immediately in the next video. Later. I'm not sure when I'll do it, by the way.